This morning for our fortnightly political panel, we're discussing the recent local election results and what they suggest about our political party's prospects in next year's general election. We're very pleased to be joined by newly elected Rotorua Mayor Tanya Tapsell, who ran in the 2020 general election as the National Party candidate for the East Coast. And here in our Auckland studio, political organiser and trade unionist Matt McCartan. Kia ora kōrua. Matt, to you first. Lots of people have said the local body elections, they point to a swing to the right, suggest that everything's going to go wrong for Labour next election. Do you agree?
Well, I don't think it's about the local body elections, but yes, that the government has got some challenges, of course. A second term is always hard about whether you get the third term. But yes, the local body elections have been a challenge and are going to be a challenge for late Labour. Partly you've got a mayor in Auckland who's not aligned, well, not a late Labour-led mayor. And across the country, there's been a swing to the right, to the centre right, and so they're not allies of the Labour Party. So that's going to... And the two Labour candidates who were endorsed in the two big cities of Auckland and Wellington lost. So they don't have, and like in Tanya's city in Rotorua, you had Steve Chadwick, you had Leanne Dalzell, you had Labour mayors who've all gone. So what we've had is, you know, a month ago we had Labour mayors all through the country. That's no longer the case.
Yeah, I want to come back to some of those points, but Tanya, just to bring you in, did you see winning the mayoralty as a tilt to the right, or do you put it down to more of your local issues in the community, or I guess it's a bit of both, isn't it?
Oh, exactly, and it is definitely connected. Rotorua has been just one of many districts around the country that have really suffered from the Labour government policies, and it has been really hard to see any outcomes when we have stood up, let our voice be known and actually said we need better solutions, whether that's Rotorua's emergency housing motels, the Three Waters proposal. It is very challenging, but I think across the country, never in living memory have we ever had an election where central government policies have influence local government elections too. You would have heard across all of our campaign things, not necessarily let's decrease rates and invest in infrastructure, but let's stop crime, let's build more houses. These are all things that are usually government policies, but councils and now new mayors have to take them on board and tackle these issues too.
You're nodding away, Matt.
Yeah.
So do you see that this is kind of that crunch point between local government trying to wrest back some power?
No, Tanya's got a figure completely on the pulse there. This is the first election I've seen is where central government issues have actually been a significant role in the local body elections. And I haven't seen anything like it. And that's affecting the way that this government has been seen. And it sets up between the mayors and central government a conflict in an election year. It's the last thing I need because crime's gone up and local bodies have acted thing out. The Three Waters issue, there's been the cost of living, lack of cops, all these sorts of things have actually, the local issues have been overwhelmed by the national issues and so they've been brought into that fight.
So Tanya, do you think that's going to give local government much more of a voice now because there is such kind of a swell of support for local issues?
Well, I think this local voice is just going to get even stronger and even louder because it has to. And I think what we've seen as well with the change in the election, I went to an induction just on Monday and Tuesday with all the mayors across the country. Half of that room consisted of new mayors. So you have seen that change, but they were people who were elected because they were saying, we will tackle these issues for you. We will listen to the community and you will have a voice because voters and communities, I think, have a real lack of confidence and trust currently in this government. So it does set us up for a very interesting election next year.
So yeah, we are now in this election cycle, Matt. So what are the prospects looking forward to the election?
Oh, I still think it's touch and go. I don't think, I'm going to overdo it. It's that the polls are close, and you would expect that. A government in 6 years, it's quite rare to get the third term, but it's still a go. The key will be how, like today, there's a meeting between the Prime Minister and the new Mayor of Auckland. How that goes will set a tone, and Jacinda is a very collegial, she's a very positive thing, and so that's going to be an interesting. And Wayne's sort of Wayne Brown is sort of a grumpy kind of, guy, I want to get on with it. So I think that will set the tone. And I think if that goes well, and so what the government's got to do is get a very practical, can't get into a fight with the mayors. It's got to actually say, we want to work together, and what do we do? And that's the only way through for them.
I wanted to ask you about Wayne Brown in that meeting, because he's been putting out press releases every day.
Yes.
He wants Wellington to leave Auckland alone. So how do you go into a meeting like that?
Carefully. Look, Wayne is not ideological in the sense of partisan. He's a grumpy old guy from up north, but he's a practical, engineer. I get things done. So Jacinda and her people are political, and what they cannot have is a fight with Auckland. So they've got to sit down and say, where can we work? In her statements, when she said she's meeting, that I want to think on the things that we can work on. So I think that's going to be the tone. And Wayne, of course, is surrounded by very political people who are very experienced. Matthew Hooton is one of them. And so they know the game too. And so, but what I think's changed is government can't dictate to local councils anymore. I think that's changed. I think that Tania's right. There's a whole mood in the country. New mayors, we're not going to get pushed around. So I think that's going to change. Well, the nature of the conversation is going to change.
And so, Tania, when you get your chance, when and if you get your chance with the Prime Minister, being in a smaller community, but one with a lot of troubles at the moment, how do you go into a meeting with the Prime Minister, and what will you want to say to her?
End of the day, we all want the same thing, and that's better communities and a better country. For us here in Rotorua, we absolutely need an exit plan for our emergency housing, and we need to remind the rest of the country that Rotorua is not just unsafe, these motels. We're actually still an amazing place to visit, an amazing place to live. So we do need some support from this government. All councils are crying out for more support with their infrastructure, but actually the biggest thing we're asking is let us keep our local decision making, whether that's Three Waters or infrastructure acceleration funds, without all of these fishhooks signing up to also achieve goals that the government wants. It's sort of been, here, we'll give you a little bit, but we want to take some control too. Well, actually, we as new mayors are saying, we'll keep the control local. Thank you very much.
So this kind of local versus central push and pull, it's not going to stop, is it?
It's absolutely not. And you just look at the cost of living crisis we're all facing. For us in the rural and provincial areas, we're having to pay more tax, more rates, but we're not necessarily seeing those benefits. If we can see those benefits practically, visibly, tangibly, then we'll be happy. But promises and then excuses when that's not delivered just isn't going to cut it anymore.
I know we've got time, but let me just finish it up here for me anyway. The Three Waters thing, it doesn't matter about the detail. While it was a central government dictating to local government, we will decide for you. That's been the problem, and that's where the government's got to change its view. If it doesn't, it'll lose the next election. If it changes, it's still got a chance to win.
So it has to change its wording.
Well, it can't be that dictate. We in central government, we decide what to do. Like in Rotorua, it's got the whole thing about, a third of the people being housed there aren't from Rotorua. And they've got a reputation to maintain in terms of tourism. That's what the government's not listening to, and Three Waters is very much part of that. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, it's the way it was perceived.
All right, that was Matt McCartan, political commentator, and Tania Tapsell, Rotorua Nia, with us this morning for the political panel. Ngā mihi I korua. Thank you very much for your time this morning.